Hi, my name is Fabian Scott. I am the Chief Technical Officer at the Barbados National Standards Institution. My role here is I am head of the Standards Development, Quality Control and Certification Department. Now, what we have in our marketplace are lots of entrepreneurs in manufacturing and cosmetic industries. These are new industries, and we understand that it's exciting for everyone. However, what we would like to convey to you is some information about standards and certification, particularly in these two thematic areas. For manufacturers, this is a very competitive field where you have lots of persons being innovative. They're applying new technologies and new processes to either assemble, manufacture, or design products and services. And one of the ways we have found to be competitive or to have a comparable advantage over others is the ability to use and implement standards in your production process. Now, when I say use standards, what do I mean? I am referring to using already established technical documentation that is written by experts. And these experts are persons who would have been involved previously in the field and have lots of years in actual manufacturing processes. So what they would have done is come together and write this information down on an established or published document is what we call a standard. So if you are manufacturing, for example, you're putting together an assembly process for a new brand of sunshades that you are making for your market. These experts would have known what are the fields of, for example, knitting your product together in terms of your screw type so that the screw is durable, that the handle of the sunshade wouldn't easily detach. We will talk about polarization, what level of polarization is effective to keep the UV rays of sunlight out. So all of this information you do not necessarily need to go and research. You can simply get an applicable standard that tells you about sunshade production, and you can try to apply those into your production process. Now, these things tend to be somewhat complex in some cases, and we understand that. So where you find that sometimes there is a need for help, you can always give us a contact at the BNSI, and we are more than willing and able to help you. For those in cosmetics industry, again, this is a continuing emerging field, particularly for what we call botanical cosmetics, where persons are using strictly natural components. And when I say strictly natural components, we are talking about stuff that is not processed or not processed very heavily. So some of the typical and traditional ingredients in cosmetics would be, for example, lanolin, which is sheep oil. But persons are beginning to use what we find in our Caribbean environment to extract either oils or some kind of unique ingredient that they wish to put into their botanical cosmetic. We have lots of information on this, and we have documented a botanical cosmetic standard that if you are interested in learning about, it actually guides you on how to go about producing that botanical cosmetic that you can so label it. The advantage of the botanical cosmetic is that in other export markets, these are more favored over what we call the industrial process cosmetics. There are lots of requirements, particularly for cosmetics, for safety, for uniformity, for harmonization of color palette and so on. And so we know sometimes there's lots of technical information and you may need your product tested as well. We're able to help you with that, where we have partners overseas where we can produce or have your product tested for you so that we can verify in those markets that you wish to pursue that your product is safe for human use. Because if you didn't know, in some cases, that is a legal requirement in those markets. So we are always willing and open and able at the BNSI to help you in a number of spheres of activity, whether, as I said before, it's standardization. We're able to help you with that in producing or assembling your products. Even recipe development, if that is a concern of you where you need to look at your recipe or the shelf life testing of your product, we're able to help with that. Whether you need to have your product certified to, for example, the Botanical Cosmetics Standard, as I mentioned, we are also able to help you with that so that you can give credibility to your product to be able to access export markets and also to give a measure of confidence to domestic users. So, whether you need standards, certification, and any other service that BNSI provides, please feel free to contact us, whether by telephone, email, or on social media.